Good morning, good morning, good morning, people. Y'all know who it is. Y'all know the voice. Y'all know the sound. James Robert Williams, DJ Exclusive, is in the building. Good morning, everybody. Make sure you grab your coffee, your tea, whatever it is you need to get your morning started, man. Good morning to you. Make sure you stay tuned. Like it or not, it's about to go down. Good morning, everybody. Okay, before we get started, I got a joke for y'all this morning. So I have a friend who really hates living in central USA. She says she's in a constant state of Missouri. Missouri. Y'all stay tuned. Like it or not, it's coming up next, y'all. Good morning, y'all. Like it or not, y'all. 2023. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for Like It or Not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. It's time for Like It or Not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. Like It or Not. Rebecca Azor is in the house. You know she got a funny story to tell. Talking politics, culture, or real life ish. I live in life in the ATL. Benjamin, yeah, that's my man. He's always coming up with the master plan. Politics scheming, not trying to find the meaning of life. And while the feds keeps us in strife. I'm your DJ. I really don't need no introduction right now, but you know what? I stay dropping them jams. Y'all know who I am. Good hope, dad jokes, culture-ish, politics. What you're hearing right now was the culmination of all of this. I started out with the mic in my hand, and I graduated to a plethora of fans. I love bringing joy to the people. It makes me feel great, makes me feel regal. I do what I do for you. 8 p.m. Friday, you know how we do. Let's go. It's time for Like It or Not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. It's time for Like It or Not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. Like it or not, y'all. 2023. Let's start this damn show. Let's go.
Like It or Not starts now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Like It or Not. Well, we're free to tell the truth.
And not care who doesn't like it.
We're used to just being us. We have the trio. Right? We have the trio today. So we got Ben on today as well, you guys. We have a lot to discuss. But first, I want to do a mental health check-in with you guys. Bubba, how are you?
Doing pretty good. You know, I would say maybe a 7 out of 10. And that's because I'm just waking up, getting coffee. And last night was like weird in like my head, if that makes sense. Dream wise, it was just like, I don't know. Last night was like a game show in my head all last night when I was sleeping, dreaming and everything. And it's just like, I don't know. It was weird. It was weird. That's all I can say. It was weird.
Sometimes when you have those type of dreams, what you can do is wake up, write it down, or at least just to, if you're too tired, just jot down a few things in your phone so that you can remember and go back. Because what I like to do, I'm Haitian, but I'm also one of those type of girls. I'm not into the stars, moons, and all that, but I'm also, I also am, if that makes sense. So there are representation of what some of the things that you see may be connected to something in your life, in your living life. So, maybe God, it may seem like a crazy dream, but sometimes when you put it together, you write it down, you try to see what it may mean. Sometimes it's telling you something that may happen in the future, or something that is protecting you from something, or sometimes it means something for you. Like, hey, in this next season, you may not know what it's going to look like, but be prepared in some way, shape, or form. You may get in your mode, or sometimes it tells you, hey, lighten up on yourself. Whatever, you just never know. So, like, girl, I'm not gonna hold you. Yeah, what is it? Is it resonating?
Come on, shaman.
Because I'm gonna tell you, during that time, when them people came and stripped the money out my account,
Yeah.
that was definitely a difficult time, and I'm still coping with that now. But I went to go hike, guys, and I seen a yellow cardinal. A yellow cardinal. Never, I have it on video. I was like, what is this thing? I thought it was like one of those yellow pieces of paper just floating around. And I was just thinking about so much as I was walking in to go hike. I was like, God, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? I don't know. Just like whatever. And I had just had a long conversation with Ben. That's funny. And we were just talking about how we just, it's a different time. We just go through it differently this time around. But I was just talking to God as I walked in there, and a yellow cardinal just started jumping from little branch to branch, from little twig to twig. And I just looked at it and I Googled it, and they say it's like a 1 in a million chance that you see yellow cardinals
Wow,
in
Becca.
in the world alone. In the world alone. And I looked it up, and it said that the season coming up, like not to worry, it was about bringing peace, and for you to just kind of tap into your peace for the moment, because whatever you're going through, it's not going to be for long. So that's, you just never know. You never know.
Yes,
So
indeed. That's deep.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Because when I tell you, maybe that's what it is. Because every time, because I woke up, used the bathroom, went back to sleep. Child, it was the same dream. And most times when you wake up, you don't go back to the same dream you're having. You either now I will say there were some variations, but it was almost like the same thing. Most times I go back to sleep, the dreams are totally different. And I'm
It's
that
like
type of person.
version 2.
When I get awakened from a dream or a bad dream or a suspect ass dream, I'm the type that I'm about to go back to sleep and change this, and I'm gonna change everything in my dream because I'm gonna control my
Yeah.
destiny. Damn that,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But yeah, but it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It was, but
I know
that's
exactly what you mean.
definitely
We feel like we're the remote control in our dreams, but you're not.
yes,
You feel like you
yes,
can change the
yes.
channel, but you're not. Ben is actually with us. Wanted to check in with you, Ben, as well. Ben, before we get to the pressing story at hand, how was your weekend, or how is your mental state now?
Can you guys see me? Can you hear me? Or rather, can you hear me?
We
Yeah,
can
we got
hear you. Can't see you.
Oh, okay.
Where's his picture,
this little
David? Let's work on
avatar,
getting
right?
his avatar,
Yeah, I was
please.
so used to see it. I didn't know
Let's
if I
work
was
on
in the
getting his
show or
avatar, please. But go ahead,
Yeah.
Ben.
But listen, Rebecca, I appreciate you taking a minute to ask people about their mental health, because it is really hard for us to absorb these stories like what happened in Jacksonville and what's happened at UNC. It's just so
Mhm.
much trauma happening. So I don't take my own mental health for granted. It has been very stressful. I will
Right.
say that much, but thankfully I have learned some methods of managing the stress between meditation and something like yoga. I can't really call it yoga, but stretching, meditation and stretching has been
That
the
sounds like
number one
yoga to
thing to
me.
help
That's
me.
dope. Okay.
Well, that helps me keep my mind together, so that we can keep fighting this fight.
Yeah. And that's a big deal. That's a big point. For us to keep fighting this fight, we have to maintain some kind of mental health. We knew what it was like to fight the fight when we didn't really have the stress in the beginning. And I wouldn't say didn't have the stress. We weren't aware as we were. Then
Yeah.
dare I say, we were awakened. We were essentially woke.
Yeah.
Woke.
And when we were woke, so much was being piled on. And how my best friend likes to say, when God is talking to her, she says, so much is being downloaded into my hard drive. And for us who were covering
Mhm.
a lot of these stories, especially at the height of Donald Trump and his campaign and when he won, a lot of division, a lot of things were brought to light. No more hiding in the dark, and we had to cover those things. So many
Yeah.
massacres, right,
Right.
were happening, and we had to cover those things. Kids being shot up in schools, grocery stores, people just randomly at events, things like that, people being targeted. We had to cover it day after day, news cycle after
Yeah.
news cycle. We had to talk about the kids purchasing bulletproof backpacks to help them in case of a shooter, not just the regular drills that you have to
Yeah.
go to. 5-year-olds being trained for that. Teachers going to training classes to protect their kids from possible active shooters. No laws being actually put in place to actually take care of those
Yeah.
children. But this is what we've been
Right.
dealing with, so I know what you mean. And to be able to do this work, we have to be able to sustain in some way, shape, or form. And that
Yeah.
means sometimes after covering the story to detach, so that we
Mm-hmm.
can be
Mm-hmm.
able to keep this in the news cycle. Because if it's not for our voices, I will say, especially in this digital space, sometimes these specific stories go under the radar, and it
Yeah.
becomes just another day, another
Yeah.
hashtag, or
Yep.
just another mass murder that they don't even want to consider a mass murder. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, in
Mm.
Florida, like if we say Florida man, Florida this, Florida that, we know Florida is really under the microscope right now, and they'd like to be with presidential candidate Ron DeSantis at the head of a lot of things,
Mm.
where Black people are put at the end of the list. Jacksonville, where you are right now, actually.
Yeah.
And Jacksonville, a few days ago, actually experienced a mass
Mm.
shooting that was targeted, like that Black people were targeted at a local Dollar General. Tell us more about that before we get into the clips.
Yeah, Saturday, August 26th, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 21-year-old Ryan Palmeter drove from his comfortable home in Clay County, Florida, which is 40 minutes away from Duval, where he landed at Edward Waters University.
Wow.
And from there, he left. He was chased away by the security at Edward Waters, and he ended up at a Dollar General where he took 3 lives. He specifically targeted Black people, according to the sheriff, Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters. In his manifesto, he made it clear that he wanted to shoot N-words with a hard ER. So there's no question about this being a racist terrorist attack. And like you said already, Rebecca, we've been covering these types of stories for so many years, and we've seen what the news cycle will do. I would tell you, just in
Right.
the aftermath of the shooting at North Carolina Chapel Hill yesterday, this story in Jacksonville, which is a major story, is starting to ease its way out of the news cycle.
Yep.
But we literally have Black people being targeted and under attack in this country, and America is just absorbing it like it's another day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's a good point. I actually listened to your podcast that you did on this particular Jacksonville mass murder yesterday. And even in how you drew it out, I feel like that is, you did it almost in layman's terms. And I feel like even that would be something that people who don't want to focus on gun control, on it actually being race, hate crimes, people who don't want to focus on that, and those are leaders, right? Especially in the state of Florida, they will make sure that the next mass shooting will focus on, okay, it's not a white man, let's focus on this story, it's at a university, not so big, let's go ahead, they didn't really get anyone, maybe one person, focus on the story and get it out of the news cycle as quick as possible. Because if they know that we focus on Black, the hate crime that happened in Jacksonville, if they know that we focus on that, and if we focus on how they've been so lenient in their gun laws and what they've done recently by passing legislation that continues to push forth this kind of behavior, allow this kind of behavior, and to push forth words that you described in your podcast yesterday that we're going to play right now from the Sheriff T.K. Waters out of Jacksonville, but basically saying, hey, this was a hate crime. He definitely was after a particular group of people, those people being Black, but let's not really use racism. Let's not really say that this was a group of people. Let's not really say that this is, they don't want us to focus on that. And then the Republicans will jump in and say, let's not focus on the fact that he was able to just go purchase a gun freely.
Right.
So let's take a listen at the aftermath and Sheriff T.K. Waters and what he had to say.
He said, give him 1 second. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. With that being said, not only did T.K. Waters speak out, the mayor in Jacksonville actually spoke out. Ben, you got an opportunity because they did go out and do a march. You got an opportunity to witness that march, or you were there for a little bit with your family.
Yes.
What was that like for you?
So Sunday afternoon, the mayor of the city, Donna Deegan, called for a rally in the park, and we showed up. There was again, this was so close to us that we were able to, maybe 10-15 minute drive for us to get to the memorial.
Wow.
And it was a great turnout. It was a beautiful event, and everything was fine until Ron DeSantis showed up and I don't know if everyone has seen the clip, but Ron DeSantis got a Duval welcome for sure. He was booed so relentlessly that the city councilwoman who invited him down had to grab the microphone and tell everyone to stop booing. So there's a lot of tension in the city right now because the people of Jacksonville were very clear. They said what they said when they booed Ron DeSantis. They meant it, and they didn't need any council member to come and lecture them because they're grown adults who know exactly what Ron DeSantis is doing in the state of Florida. So it was a cool vigil, but the one I went to last night, I would honestly say it was really the one that represented the people. We gathered in James Weldon Johnson Park, right downtown in the heart of Jacksonville, and there were several hundred protesters who came and spoke and marched. And that was more represented. You didn't have a lot of elected officials. You didn't have the governor. You didn't have the mayor, but you had the people of Duval who showed up last night. And so they're showing up all around the city. And I think they're going to keep as much pressure as they can on the issue.
Yeah. And
that's good. Stay on his neck because.
Yeah.
Do you think they will?
Do I think they will? I think they have to. I think for Jacksonville, listen, what happened Saturday is life-changing, and it should be life-changing for the country. But the way the news cycle and the algorithm works, the country has already moved on. And so it's going to require that leaders and organizers and activists in Jacksonville keep the pressure on because nobody else is if they don't.
Yeah. And I think now is the time for us to also keep the pressure on this story. As long as we possibly can, because as you said in your podcast, it's super important. It's super important for for us to keep this up because the Republicans, especially right now, as they continue to campaign, as they continue to push, and not only them, our other politicians on the other side of the fence as well. It is the easy opportunity for them to just be quiet and not have to flex a lot of the things that they said they would as allies. So it's easy to just shut up and not have to talk gun control right now. It's easy to just shut up and not have to say that this was a racial issue. So this is all politicians that I think we really have to keep the story out there and to focus on, because this is not a one-off.
That's right.
This is happening too many times, and it's becoming normal that we are naturally, just days ago, an incident like this, where their manifesto, a portion of it was read to clarify that this was indeed a hate crime pointed at Black people. Let's take a listen at what DK, the sheriff in Jacksonville, said.
Has suffered the loss of 3 precious lives at the hands of an active shooter. This afternoon, a little after 1 p.m., an individual entered a Dollar Tree in the Newtown area of Jacksonville, outfitted with a tactical vest, armed with an AR-style rifle, and a handgun. Then the shooter killed 3 people before turning the gun on himself, taking his own life. There are 2 male victims and 1 female victim. All of the deceased victims are Black. At 1:18 p.m., he texted his father and told his father to check his computer. At 1:53 p.m., the shooter's family members called the Clay County Sheriff's Office. By that time, he had already began shooting in Jacksonville. The shooter had authored several manifestos. These manifestos detailed the shooter's disgusting ideology of hate. This shooting was racially motivated, and he hated Black people. The weapons that the shooter used today are a Glock and an AR-15 style rifle. There's no place for hate in our community. As a member of this Jacksonville community, I'm sickened by this cowardly shooter's personal ideology of hate.
Well, I'm heartbroken, obviously. This is a community that has suffered again and again. So many times, this is where we end up. There were so many people out today, obviously grieving, upset. It's just something that should not and must not continue to happen in our community. It's too often the same folks. This type of hate, you see the swastikas on the gun. Frustrating. This is for all of us. because we've seen it too much. This, as you know, was the anniversary of when we had the shooting at the landing. And I believe that was also indicated in the manifesto that he was aware of that. There's a lot here, but as the sheriff said, this was a hate-filled crime. And we just shouldn't have that kind of hate in Jacksonville.
You would think so, huh?
Mayor Donna Deegan. So I've had a chance to meet, and I've actually interviewed and spoken with Mayor Donna Deegan. She's the new mayor, Democrat. She hasn't been in office for more than 2 months, and this is one of her first major issues that she's had to confront. And so we are looking to her very directly, though, to be a leading voice on this issue and to not let it die, because even some of the media in Jacksonville is starting to move on. It's not just national media that's moving on, local media is moving on. And the problem is that this shooter absolutely has the same ideology as the other mass shooters that we've seen target Black people. And so for the sheriff, there's another clip where the sheriff says that this shooter was not connected to any broader group. That's not true, Sheriff Waters. Like, the fact of the matter is that the manifesto will show that he has the exact same ideology as the shooter out of Buffalo, New York, and Mother Emanuel AME in South Carolina. And so this is a broader network of young white mass shooters who are radicalized online, who are targeting Black people. And this is the last thing I'll say about it. They are at war. This group of people believe they are at war with Black people, and Black people, whether we know they're at war with us or not, we better realize that they are starting to up their violence towards us.
Yeah. I think it's easier to soften or try to soften and have us land on pillows. When we're receiving this information, right? How she said this should never happen in Jacksonville. But really focusing on the fact that, I understand that it may sound right to say he acted alone. He acted alone in the crime, yet this could have been manifested with a group of people online. Many of these people, if you look at their Google searches, they're in different chat rooms that are open to these things. Donald Trump definitely, I will say Donald Trump, many times, his colleagues that have the higher power, that sit in these seats, they're whistleblowing. When they do these things, we see things like January 6th. We see things that attack people who happen to be Black, who are automatically stamped as woke because they're asking for policy change or asking for gun control. They're asking to stop murdering Black people. They're asking for equality. We've been asking for that forever. And so now they're tattooed as woke, especially with this happening in Florida, already in a state where the leader himself has taken away so much where Black people can be at least in the conversation, heard a little bit, took away whatever we built, whatever our ancestors were working towards, literally just woke up and stripped that away in education. Manipulate and make it seem that Black people here did not suffer historically at the hands of Americans. Speaking of that, the representatives in Florida who aren't doing right, there's one that you actually had posted about, and that is Nixon, Representative Nixon, Angie Nixon, who actually had a really, and I want to play all of it. I know it's long, but I want to play it all. A very emotional interview talking about what happened in Jacksonville. And again, she's also a Florida state representative, and her name is Angie Nixon. And I want you guys to take a listen in the passion in her voice, but her also, which I think is a great quote, which I tweeted out today. Listen, America, you are in danger, girl, especially because of leadership, and specifically in her state of Florida. Let's take a listen.
My blood is literally boiling. Myself and other representatives, particularly Black representatives, throughout the past few legislative sessions, we have repeatedly told him what his rhetoric was going to do. And that is exactly what transpired on yesterday. This is absurd. It's ridiculous. He is one of the causes to this. This is an agenda that he has been pushing since he has gotten into office. He showed us who he was when he initially ran for governor, saying, don't monkey this around, don't monkey this up. Those type of statements, it only leads to things like this. We have leadership across this state, Republican leadership across this state, who are doing everything to continually attack Black lives, right? They are doing everything to erase Black history. They are feeding our children propaganda. All that does is lead to the devaluation of Black lives. This guy, he had no respect for the Black community. He had no respect. And my colleagues who are in leadership need to stand up and stop the mansplaining and the gaslighting and the misogynoir and the racist rhetoric that they spew time and time again on the House floor and the Senate chambers. Let's be clear. This is the same state legislature that just recently passed a bill to rename a portion of our roadways after Rush Limbaugh. That is what we're dealing with here in the state of Florida. That is why I am so angry. And then we have a very vindictive governor who, if we speak out, we're punished as elected officials. Along with Representative McCarty, sat on that House floor when he unconstitutionally came after 2 congressional Black districts to remove them. I was placed in a basement with rats because I stood up for my community. I am more than angry. And now there are 3 families that no longer have their family members to come home to. This here in Florida, Governor DeSantis and the Republican Party of Florida are doing nothing but hurting us. And I am angry, and I will not continue to sit idly by.
Woo. Yeah.
That was a lot.
She was, she spoke also at the event. Well, actually, so she was also at the rally where Ron DeSantis showed up, and there is an iconic photo that I think will go down in history of her looking and over Ron DeSantis' shoulder with the gaze that you don't ever want to get from a Black woman. If a Black woman ever looks at you the way Angie Nixon looked at Ron DeSantis, then you better run, DeSantis. But she also showed up at the rally last night, and she spoke with so much passion and conviction, because that's what people are really feeling. And I think people got to stop and realize, like, y'all, this was a targeted terror attack specifically coming after our district, our community. And so, yes, people should be this passionate about it. People should be up in arms about it, because if we just get comfortable with it and we just change the news to the next story, we're going to find in another couple of months another racist mass shooting.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. This
So
whole thing is just makes no sense at all. None.
Yeah, no, but she's somebody who is a representative. As I was saying, and we're going to continue. I want to continue what she says because I think it's very important. She lists a lot of things. So I bet you didn't know about how we knew how he was attacking these Florida representatives. But I bet you didn't know how the treatment they were. She said she was thrown into a basin because she challenged him. Challenging these leaders is dangerous. You get blacklisted. Okay. You get treated like you aren't even the Florida state representative. You do not get that You do not get that benefit that they get. Oh, we saw that on when the
Renita Shannon.
When the Florida or when the candidates for presidency went to go debate, the only Black man on the floor was treated as if he didn't have no voice at all. The one that's representing that party, he was treated as if he had no voice at all. He was given the least thereof, right? In the midst of all these people. Black people will always be the bottom of the totem pole, no matter how you try to represent and push forth white talking points and white supremacy. You are an ER, the same way that man put in the manifesto.
That's right.
That's how
That's
they
right. And Rebecca,
you.
And Rebecca, what happened to Representative Angie Nixon in Florida reminded me of what they did to Renita Shannon in
right
Georgia. Right there
yeah.
is there's a level of disrespect and disdain that is expressly shown. Black people generally, yes, but Black women specifically in politics, they find themselves on the receiving end of some of the most hate-filled rhetoric from these elected officials like Ron DeSantis and Brian Kemp.
Yeah, no, Renita decided to challenge, and she knew that her going in to she challenged before she even went for lieutenant governor. She challenged, right? She challenged by rallying together people to stop them from going out there and remove or putting out these legislations that prevented people of color in their communities to vote, that targeted the Black communities for voting. We remember because we were pushing that on our show with Renita Shannon and Cliff Albright right here, who were doing the work right here. We had the representative who was dragged by Kemp when she saw him signing that law that was removing people's rights to vote. Had her dragged out in handcuffs as if she wasn't even a part of representation for the state of Florida, or for the state of Georgia, excuse me. And so, well, what we see here is she's crying because she stated, yeah, I went through that, but these people aren't able to come home to their families. These people are,
that's right.
People are mourning something that just happened. And this governor has just signed in so many things that is going to allow more things like this to happen if we do not act now.
That's right.
If we do not keep this conversation, this is what's going to happen more and more in the state of Florida. And we will not have a chance to actually talk about it because of all of the laws that are going to say this is legal. Now, let's continue on with a little bit more of what she said. I know you said you got to get out of here. Let's continue on with a little bit more of what she said.
Yeah, because I got to ask Ben a couple questions before you get out of it too, because it's just some stuff doesn't make sense.
No problem.
For states like Florida, where gun laws are really only ever loosened these days, and it feels like, and we know that Democrats are the minority in the state legislature, what do you look for change? I mean, do you feel like the answer's in Washington?
I feel like it has to be a top-down, bottom-up approach, right? I feel that all of the elected leaders need to come together and push out this hateful rhetoric, which has just been exacerbated since around 2015, 2016. I feel that our community members we need to hold us elected officials accountable. We work for you, right? We work for you, and you need to hold us accountable, not just at the ballot box, but year round. You need to push the policies that you deserve, right? And you know, at the end of the day, we need common sense gun reform. We do, but also as elected officials, we need to be accountable for the words that come out of our mouths time and time again, for the policies that we push, for the communities and families that we are hurting. I have families calling me day in and day out saying they can no longer afford Florida. They do not feel safe. The NAACP issuing a travel advisory, that is real. That is what's happening in the state of Florida. And yet, time and time again, when I am on the House floor, when I am telling all the folks what's happening in our state, in the House floor from leaders, we get microaggressions. We get, oh, that's not real. But again, you have a governor who cares more about pandering to a base of voters, not even caring about what's happening here in our state of Florida and the 8,000 educator shortage that we have, right? The property insurance crisis that we're dealing with, the rising rent cost. No, he wants to be vindictive to Black folks because it gives him points in poll numbers. That's what we're dealing with. America, you are in danger, girl. We must stop Ron DeSantis in his tracks. I am not an angry Black woman. I am a woman who is speaking truth to power to let you all know this man means us no good. And it is evident by what transpired here yesterday in Jacksonville, Florida.
Come on, sis. Like, but no, her just saying, America, you are in danger, girl. People like it's lingo, but it's truth, because the way that we like to sit here and act like nothing is happening is crazy.
Yeah.
But then the way that you were pushing the point that she's pushing as well, we must really focus on what happened here.
Yeah.
Because what happened here is not just happening in Florida.
That's right.
It's all across the nation. And this is a mass issue all across the nation that is happening, so much so, but the Republicans are sitting down on these issues and saying, let's focus on Chicago, like the Brown candidate for president.
Brown Jimmy Neutron.
Right. Brown Jimmy Neutron. But Beck, who says, let's focus on the shootings in Chicago.
Right.
Let's focus on the crime. Let's focus. Let's really?
Yeah.
Because that's not, this is where I'm saying their focus is or their job is to take the focus away from what's actually happening.
That's right.
And it's very, it's very dangerous to us who are Black.
That's right.
In America. And they're telling us to say it's not that bad. You aren't suffering. This was just something that happened because somebody was having a bad day. This was something that happened because you were at the wrong place at the wrong time. This wasn't premeditated. There was no whistleblowing. Guns are not the issue. White supremacy doesn't exist. Hate crimes against Black people isn't real. That's why we cannot put anything into law to protect Black people from things like this from happening. Ben, or you said you had questions, Bubba.
Yeah, because if y'all pay attention, people, that's the main thing. Pay attention, because let's be honest. This man went to Edward Waters first, which is the Black HBCU in Jacksonville, was shooed away by one security guard with an AR-15. So this man had an AR-15 and the Glock, but this lone security guard shoot him away. I'm just so confused on how all that happened. Like, how was this one security guard able to do that? But then he was able to go to Dollar General right down the street and shoot 3 people with no problems.
So
it makes no sense. And then all of a sudden, DeSantis ass pops his ass up to be right there. Especially the debate just was like a few days ago. It seems like it's all calculated.
Yeah. So there's a video from TikTok that really it shows in real time what happened with the mass shooter. They saw him putting on his tactical vest. So as he was putting on his bulletproof vest, the security guard from Edward Waters pulled up in his car, in his vehicle. Now, I believe it's because he did not have his gun in his hand that he decided to run. And to leave the campus because he wasn't quite ready. He was getting his uniform, his bulletproof vest on. So I think that's the best way to understand why he didn't start shooting right there at Edward Waters. And then so too, he went somewhere where there was no security at all. There was no security guards at the Dollar General, and he decided to open fire there. So that's the best response that I can get in terms of why he didn't unload. And thankfully, and I know it's really a horrible tragedy for the families at Dollar General, but at the same time that he was at Edward Waters, the marching band was scheduled to be on the field practicing. And just imagine the kind of carnage he could have caused if he had all of those unarmed targets out there. So shout out to the security guard that managed to get him off campus.
Absolutely.
Okay. So this story is still developing, but I do think that the mockery of Ron DeSantis and here is like he is a joke, but people are upset that people booed him. They are
not. Let me just say something to that real quick. Councilwoman Pittman is about the only person that's upset that Ron DeSantis got booed because she was apparently, I believe she was appointed by Ron DeSantis. And so she was interested in the gifts, the money. She literally said, "Oh, don't boo him because he's bringing gifts." And that really upset the community. So when it comes to Jacksonville, there's only like 1 or 2 people that are mad that Ron DeSantis got booed. And that's one of the council people who was appointed by Ron DeSantis.
Yeah. So I guess with all of the anger being pointed towards the wrong thing and not the focus on the people, you actually, because I listened to your podcast, which I think is really good, and everybody should run that back as well. Because like I said, it's in layman's terms. There's nothing that you can't get here. It's not information that we haven't already talked about, but in this time, it's important why we need to focus on it, because there is an attack on Black people. This is not a mega thing. This is not a woke talking point. This is not that. There is a manifesto, so many more that are targeting specific groups of people, and we are seeing mass murders that we're being told to just look at as a random shooting that are targeting Black people. If we're quiet on this, it's going to be another one tomorrow. They're probably happening and they're not allowing us to see or hear these stories. So those
that's right.
should be talked about.
That's right.
Absolutely.
The shooter needs to be identified. And he has
right.
been identified, but the way that they're just saying, the shooter and his manifesto and his father and his parents may have not had any idea as to what's going on, yet he had every tool given to him by American
That's right.
politics,
That's right.
legislation put in place for him to get to the point to do this.
Had everything he wanted in life, Rebecca. And let me say this, and I'm going to get out of here, but he had everything he would need. A nice, comfortable home, parents who provided for him. This dude had enough money in his bank account to go and purchase this AR-15 style weapon himself. Now, let's be real. How many people listening right now have enough money just so they can go blow on an AR-15? See, that's a level of privilege, but he thought that he was so aggrieved. Conservative media has been telling white men that they are oppressed in America for so long that they actually now believe it enough to commit these acts of violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. America handed him the tools, and now they want to say that it was mental health. They won't. Those people won't. They won't discuss mental health on a regular day. But let it be a shooting like this. It's
y'all already know what's going to happen next. They are about to glorify the hell out of this white man on Fox News and make it seem like he was just having a bad day. His mental health wasn't all that good. He was able to get this gun because of this. Just watch. A few days, they're going to glorify this man if they are not already. And make it seem like he's another. What's the man they gave the Burger King to? They're gonna do his ass like that.
Roof,
Dylan Roof.
Yeah, it does. And Ben, I know you have to go, so we won't hold you too much longer. Thanks for joining on the conversation. We're gonna continue a little bit more. Thank you, Ben, for joining on.
Thank y'all so much for covering it. See y'all soon. No problem.
See you soon. We're gonna continue a little bit more. Yeah, be safe, Ben. Yeah, it's a lot going on, and I know that he's going to definitely hit the floor running with this. But we're going to continue a little bit more. And another shooting that happened in North Carolina.
Too goddamn
University of North Carolina, a faculty member is dead in that campus shooting. A suspect is in custody after a shooting at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill on Monday afternoon left a faculty member dead and prompted students and others to shelter in place for hours as police looked for the gunman. Shots were reportedly fired at 1:02 p.m. And the suspect was taken into custody shortly after at 2:30. I know from 1:02 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. sounds like shortly after, but that could feel like a lifetime.
That's a lifetime.
Yes, and when an active shooter is in the presence. Chancellor Kevin Gunswitz said this on Monday, which was just yesterday. Okay, this happened yesterday. The names of the faculty member and the suspect were not immediately released. It was too early to know a motive for the shooting at the time. And they were saying they were looking at the why and what and all those things. And I did see an update with the mugshot of the shooter. Of the UNC shooter, and I don't know if they've gotten let me take a look. I don't know if they've gotten any more information on that, but I did see the mugshot of the shooter. I don't believe that he was white. I believe that he was Asian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Taliq. Okay. Yeah. And so Taliq, he's the person of interest right now. They did take him into custody. And so this is what I want you guys to know. With all this, the legislations, everything that's gun control. We just talked about having the conversation about the hate crime because for some reason America does not want to identify Black people being targeted as a thing, right? So We're not going to move past that, but we're going to put that here as one of the points. And now we're going to go to the conversation of gun control, because there is no way that people can be getting on campuses, having guns all up and through here, and people getting shot up. Under Donald Trump, as these laws begin to become more lenient, under the leadership of the people who were on Donald Trump's nuts, who were able to pass things into law, okay? Who rented different penthouses on Donald Trump's nuts, on his ass. All those representatives who had the opportunity to help, their blood is on their hands. So many universities are being struck. So many children, so many elementary schools, daycares. People are pulling up and just shooting up the place. And they're saying that the kids should be protecting themselves by getting bulletproof backpacks.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
They don't give a damn because their pockets still getting fatter. The more shootings that happen, their pockets continue to get fatter. So they don't care. Blood can be all on their hands. They do not give a damn because they feel it's not affecting them directly.
And interesting that you say that, because they capitalize on the deaths of babies, on the murders of children. But they will capitalize and start to sell backpacks because money matters over the kids being shot up, guns being placed into the hands, having the NRA be at the top of the chain and in control over children's lives. Blaming it on drag queens is more important enough. It's more important over the lives of babies. It's more important than us to continue the conversation of gun control. It's more important for us to push, to fight for it. We've been fighting for gun. I've done stories after stories about gun control. And I said to that camera back in 2017, Trump, is now a good time to talk gun control. Legislators, state representatives, is now a good time to discuss gun control. I've been saying this for years. And here we are, and they still don't want to talk about gun control. And the mental health issues that we want to focus on, when we're saying mental health is an issue, they don't ever want to focus on it until the conversation is about guns. Then they want to say, hey, maybe he wasn't in his right mind. He had a bad day. His parents didn't give him what he wanted. Yet America did. America lined up for each of these gunmen. They gave them the blueprint as they continue to change legislations or put things into law, which allow gunmen, which allow people of a certain age, which allow people whose minds are not right, which allow these people to go and have access to guns. And they're saying it's the drag queens, and they're saying it's the violence happening in Chicago. This is a national issue. America is in danger, girl.
America has a problem.
America has a definite problem. And the focus, we're moving away from what we should be doing. No matter how much, it's almost like we're screaming to the sky. We're moving so far away that we've taken away things that we've worked hard to do when it comes to women's bodies, when it comes to the children. We're saying that guns matter more. So let's create more opportunities for these psychopaths who have pages online that haven't been shut down, Facebook pages, Twitter conversations that have not been removed from social media, whistleblowing that's happening from the top, from our leadership, where we're looking at these same people pull up to the Capitol with these armed at the Capitol and getting a slap on the wrist. Domestic terrorism at its finest, and getting a slap on the wrist for it. Because guns matter more than people.
Becca, you know it goes hand in hand, right? They try to control women's bodies to make women have the babies and then let them grow up only to get shot and killed because there's no gun control laws. It goes hand in hand. Because it's the ultimate money-making machine. Let's make women have these babies, even though they got raped by some jackass off the street. We're going to make her have this baby. And then once that baby gets to the first grade, second grade, only 5 or 6 years old, let's put a gun in somebody's hand and have them go into school and shoot them up. So then it's a whole cycle. Okay, let's make her have another baby, put her back in school so we can go to that school and shoot them up. Oh, wait, let's do it one more time because there's another baby coming that shouldn't be had. Let's send them right on back to that school and let's shoot them up. Oh, they can get bulletproof backpacks. That might help them. I doubt it because, you know, these days they're using all kind of fucking bullets. So let's send them back to the school, put a gun in this person's hand, send them to the school and shoot up the school again. Yeah. It's all the goddamn same.
Yep. It's the anxiety that we get from watching this and being Black. It's a daily anxiety. You go to this grocery store. All through the pandemic, I was afraid. I live in a predominantly white area. Y'all hear me say that. Y'all hear me holler that every time I come to this dang show. I live in a predominantly white area. I go to the grocery store. I try to act like I'm listening to music. I keep it very faint, almost like ambient music in my ear so that I can hear what the hell's going on. I was telling my little brother this the other day. I went to Kroger. Something slapped the floor and it sounded like gunshots. Every Black person that was in there, you know, about 5 of us that was in there, all stopped. We're looking at what exit to go to, panic in the face. White people were continuing to just walk, move along, do what they needed to do. Every day we got to live in fear, heightened stress. But they don't want us to have this conversation, and they're removing our voices. They're removing our rights. They are telling us that we are delusional. They are telling us that we are race baiting. They are telling us all these things. And we can't allow that to happen. And I don't care. On top of that, we're giving people the access to guns. Anybody at that point.
Anybody.
And that is a problem as well. Is now a damn good time to discuss gun control. Because even if it isn't, we will discuss it right here on Like It or Not. Every single damn time. Every single time.
Don't understand why it's so goddamn hard. The only thing you got to do is increase the age limit. Do further deeper background checks. These are simple things that you can do. But no,
they know
y'all want to be assholes. They want to give everybody a gun. Hey, you want to go in there? You go take it.
And I was talking to this guy, and the guy was telling me he lives in Indiana now. He says how everybody walks around with the gun. The violence is ridiculous in some parts of India. He said everybody walks around with the gun. They're free to just carry their gun. And if somebody pops off, shot. I went down into an area of DC to go visit my cousin. She was getting so many different reports of shootings. It's nothing but shootings. Every few seconds, it's just a report of shooting. We're in the middle of a Burlington, and all we hear is pop, 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 pop. Mind you, on the way to the Burlington, we've had 5 white sheets on the floor of a jewelry store parking lot. And then we get into the Burlington, we hear pop, 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 pop. We go outside. We thought it was something inside of Burlington that happened. We walk outside and the guy runs over and says, somebody just got murdered. They're right there on the floor at JCPenney across the street. How many? Yep. And this, a few days ago was the anniversary of the MLK speech. And for this to happen around that time, you have, yes, Martin Luther King has a dream. The right will use that opportunity to say he has a dream, for whites and Blacks to get together. That means that we have to stop race baiting. That means that we have to stop talking about issues that really aren't there. Oh no, these issues are here. These issues are here, and we're going to keep discussing them. We're at the end of the show. I do have to get ready for work, but but I will say the work that we're going to do here, the work that we're doing here is not going to stop when it comes to these type of discussions. So if this is something you and your white homegirls and your white family and friends, I'm sorry, but this conversation won't stop. It's going to be for us and by us here on this platform when the media is telling us to look the other way. And that's that on that. We're at the end of the show. I love you guys so much. Hey, listen, if you're still here, if you've been watching with us, you already know what to do. Guys, your support is what helps us move forward. And so what we're asking you to do is join patreon.com if you haven't already. Patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not. You get the benefits of getting exclusive information, right? You get the benefit of knowing that you helped us pay for the system to get on here every Tuesday and Saturday. And you also help us grow. I love you guys so much. If you want to get to us directly, you can definitely give to the cash apps on the screen. Mine is Becca's Voice. You got DJs at DJX3C, DKG87. I think that's our producer. and the rest of them, they will put down low. Listen, guys, I love you. I mean it. It's Tuesday. I know a lot is happening. Take some time to go ahead and get your mind right. Think of something good. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. I know it's a little crazy outside with the storms happening. Storms in our lives, storms in the nation. But take a moment for you today. I love you. I mean it. I'll see you on Saturday or Thursday on Leftist Mafia. See y'all.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in again. As you can see, I'm off the screen because my camera battery died, and I'm just like, by the time I go get it, it'll be the end. Anywho, y'all, thank y'all again. Like Rebecca said, man, if you want to give out to us individually, you can. Becca's Voice on Cash App, DJ X3C on Cash App, DKG87 on Cash App, and BPD 2018, man. If you're not a member and want to become one, please do so. Patreon.com/like it or not. Patreon.com/like it or not. Your affirmation for today: I create my own method of magic. I create my own method of magic. Y'all gonna be great, man. Love y'all, mean it. I'll see y'all Thursday. Beer by the Chronicles. Deuces. He's always coming up with the master plan. Politics scheming, I'm trying to find the meaning of life. And while the feds keeps us in strife. I'm your DJ. I really don't need no introduction right now, but you know what? I stay dropping them jams. Y'all know who I am. Good hope, dad jokes, culture-ish, politics. What you're hearing right now was the culmination of all of this. I started out with the mic in my hand, and I graduated to a plethora of fans. I love bringing joy to the people. It makes me feel great, makes me feel regal. I do what I do for you. 8 p.m. Friday, you know how we do. Let's go. It's time for Like It or Not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. It's time for Like It or Not. With Rebecca Azor. Let's start this damn show. Like it or not, y'all. 2023. Let's start this damn show. Let's go.